visual, textual, and musical elements in this image work together to create a cohesive, deeply unsettling, and emotionally raw vignette. It feels less like a simple playlist and more like a carefully staged digital gallery of resentment, trauma, and psychological distortion. Here is an in-depth analysis and psychological breakdown of how these components interact. 1. Visual analysis. The imagery of spillage. The cover art sets a stark, visceral tone before a single word is read. The rupture of the sacred, a rustic, natural scene, a log in the woods with a metal tankard, is violently disrupted by a bright red stream. The setting evokes a sense of old-world simplicity, isolation, or even a homestead context. Symbolism of the fluid. The bright red substance immediately mimics blood or a heavy, staining dye. It represents a wound, a spill that cannot be gathered back up, and a permanent spoiling of the environment. The contrast. The darkness of the woods contrasted with the jarring, unnatural vibrance of the red suggests a sudden, traumatic event or an intrusive, painful memory bleeding into the quiet spaces of the psyche. 2. Textual breakdown, the anatomy of a grievance. The prose accompanying the image functions as a heavy, accusatory internal monologue or a confrontation frozen in time. The shifting perspective, the dissociative split. Greater than, do you remember what you told him? Do you remember what I looked like? The text rapidly shifts between first person, I, and third person, him, when referring to the self. This is a classic linguistic marker of psychological distancing. The speaker may view their past, vulnerable self as a separate entity, someone they are watching suffer from a distance because the direct memory is too heavy to fully integrate. Interrogation as a weapon. The repetition of, "Do you remember?" isn't a genuine question. It is an enforcement of guilt. It is designed to ensure the perpetrator cannot escape the mental image of the wreckage they left behind. The reversal of power and degradation. Greater than, he crawled out to beg like the dog you abandoned him to be. The imagery here is deeply primal and humiliating, reducing the former self to an abandoned dog that crawls and begs, highlights extreme vulnerability and a shattering of dignity. However, by broadcasting this narrative now, the speaker reclaims a grim sense of control over the story. They are no longer the one crawling. They are the one documenting the cruelty of the person who walked away. 3. The musical anchor, Take Me Anywhere. The track playing at the bottom, Take Me Anywhere by Nate Wants to Battle, adds a crucial layer of kinetic energy to the static image. Escapism versus confinement. The title implies a desperate desire for flight, a need to be removed from a painful current reality, take me anywhere else. Yet, it sits beneath a block of text that is completely trapped in the past, obsessing over a specific moment of abandonment. The internal friction. This creates a brilliant psychological friction. The music represents the urge to run, to escape, and to seek motion, while the text and imagery act as an emotional anchor, pulling the consciousness right back down into the dirt where the trauma occurred. Psychological synthesis. This curation represents a mind dealing with the aftermath of a profound betrayal or abandonment. Instead of smoothing over the edges of the wound, the creator is actively leaning into the sharpest parts of the memory. By naming the project Salt and Bread, traditional symbols of welcome, hospitality, and basic survival, and pairing it with imagery of ruin and text of degradation, the piece explores the exact moment those foundational human needs were denied. It is a striking, defiant monument to a moment of survival that came at a very high emotional cost.